Imagine, a quiet, sunny day
Yeah.
in Medicine Hat, Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
A seemingly,
Right.
ordinary family, the Richardsons,
Yeah.
active in their church,
Mm.
homeschooling their kids.
Right.
You might see them at the grocery store or the park,
Yeah.
just blending into everyday life.
I know what you mean.
But behind this facade of normalcy lurked a chilling secret,
Yeah.
one that would shatter the community and
Yeah.
leave a lasting scar.
It's true.
So what's so unsettling about this case?
Yeah. I think what's so unsettling about this case is how
Yeah.
it challenges our assumptions about safety and normalcy.
Right.
We tend to believe that violence happens somewhere else or
Yeah.
to someone else.
Right.
But the Richardson family murders force us to confront the uncomfortable reality
Oh, yeah.
that darkness can exist even in the most unexpected places.
Exactly. And in April of 2006,
Right.
the bodies of Deborah and Mark Richardson,
Yeah.
along with their 8-year-old son Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
were discovered in their home.
Yeah.
It was a scene of unimaginable brutality.
Totally.
And what made this case even more shocking
Right.
was the revelation that their 12-year-old daughter, Jasmine,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a victim.
Yeah.
She was the mastermind.
Wow.
So this case really throws a wrench into our understanding of juvenile delinquency.
Well, it does because, we're accustomed to thinking about teenage rebellion
Yeah.
in terms of skipping school or sneaking out.
Right.
But Jasmine's actions were on a whole other level of darkness and premeditation.
It's almost impossible to fathom,
It is.
But to understand how this could happen, we need to delve into the complexities of Jasmine's life.
Yeah.
Particularly her relationship with 23-year-old Jeremy Steinke.
That's right. And, their relationship was anything but typical.
Right.
Jeremy, who was deeply entrenched in the goth subculture,
Yeah.
identified as a 300-year-old werewolf and had a disturbing fascination with blood.
Oh, wow.
To give you a sense of the goth subculture at that time, it was more than just a fashion choice.
Mm.
It often involved a fascination with the macabre, the occult,
Right.
and sometimes a rejection of mainstream values.
Interesting.
And remember, this was before the days of widespread social media.
yeah.
So much of this subculture existed in online forums and communities
Yeah.
like vampirefreaks.com,
VampireFreaks.com.
where Jasmine and Jeremy connected.
Oh, wow.
These spaces could be havens for those who felt like outsiders,
Yeah.
but they could also be breeding grounds for dangerous ideologies
Uh-huh.
and unhealthy relationships, especially for vulnerable youth.
And Jasmine, at the tender age of 12, was particularly vulnerable.
She was, yeah, and she lied to Jeremy about her age,
Oh, really?
claiming to be 15,
Wow.
perhaps drawn to the allure of the forbidden
Uh-uh.
and the attention he lavished upon her.
Yeah, and her parents horrified by the age difference.
Oh, yeah,
And Jeremy's unsettling persona
right.
tried to keep them apart.
Oh, of course.
They grounded Jasmine, limited her internet access,
Of course.
and forbade her from seeing him.
They had to, yeah.
So this is where the case starts to touch on the dynamics of adolescent psychology.
It does, yeah.
Jasmine was at that stage of development where the need for independence and peer acceptance is paramount.
It is, yeah.
Her parents' attempts to control her,
Uh-huh.
however well-intentioned,
Yeah,
might have inadvertently pushed her further into Jeremy's arms.
I think so, yeah.
It's like a tragic Shakespearean drama playing out in a modern context,
Wow.
with the added layer of a digital underworld that facilitated their connection.
It's true, it's true.
So the forbidden romance,
Yeah.
the age gap,
Mm-hmm.
the clashing values,
Yeah.
the online world providing a sense of escape and validation.
That's a lot.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But to fully understand the tragedy that unfolded,
Right.
we need to examine Jeremy's influence on Jasmine
Yeah.
and what role, if any, his mental state played in their shared descent into darkness. So one of the most puzzling aspects of this case
Yeah.
is the question of who was the true driving force behind the murders.
Right.
Was Jasmine a manipulative mastermind, as some believe?
Right.
Or was she a victim of Jeremy's manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
a vulnerable child drawn into his web of darkness?
Right.
To answer these questions, we have to look closer at their interactions,
Yeah.
particularly their online exchanges,
Mm.
which provide a chilling glimpse into their twisted mindset
It does, yeah.
leading up to that fateful night.
That's right.
And speaking of that night, the details of the murders themselves are incredibly disturbing.
They are.
From the weapons used to the specific wounds inflicted,
Right.
the crime scene painted a picture of unspeakable rage and brutality.
I can imagine.
Can you walk us through what happened inside the Richardson home
Sure.
and how the forensic evidence helped piece together the sequence of events.
So the events of that night are truly harrowing,
Yeah.
based on the crime scene reconstruction and forensic analysis. It appears that Jeremy, fueled by a combination of alcohol and a distorted sense of vengeance,
Wow.
broke into the Richardson home in the dead of night.
Okay.
He first encountered Deborah in the basement,
Right.
and the attack was swift and brutal.
Oh, geez.
She was stabbed multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
and the force of the blows suggests a level of rage that's difficult to comprehend.
The brutality of the attack on Deborah is almost unimaginable.
It is, yeah.
But sadly, the violence didn't end there.
No.
What about Mark and Jacob?
Yeah.
How did they become involved?
So the commotion from the initial attack awoke Mark,
Okay.
who, armed with a screwdriver,
A screwdriver.
courageously tried to defend his family.
Wow.
He even managed to injure Jeremy in the struggle,
Really?
leaving him with a permanent eye injury.
Oh, my goodness.
However, Jeremy, fueled by adrenaline and possibly a delusional mindset,
Okay.
overpowered Mark, inflicting numerous stab wounds.
Oh, wow.
The crime scene photos are incredibly graphic,
Right.
showing the extent of the struggle and the sheer brutality of the attack.
It's heartbreaking to imagine Mark's desperation fighting to protect his family
Yeah,
against such a relentless assault.
it is.
And then there's Jacob,
Right.
just an innocent 8-year-old boy,
Yeah.
caught in the middle of this nightmare.
I know.
His murder is perhaps the most chilling aspect of this entire case.
It really is.
Can you tell us more about what happened to him?
Yeah. It's hard to even talk about this, but I think it's important to understand the full scope of this tragedy.
I agree. Yeah.
So, based on the evidence,
Right.
it seems Jacob was awakened by the sounds of the struggle.
Yeah.
He came out of his room
Mm-hmm.
and encountered Jasmine,
Right.
who, chillingly, was
Yeah.
holding a kitchen knife.
Oh, wow.
The poor boy,
Yeah.
terrified,
Well,
pleaded
yes.
for his life, saying, "I'm scared, I'm too young to die."
Oh, my.
But his pleas fell on deaf ears.
Wow.
Jasmine participated in the attack.
On her own brother.
Wow.
A detail that truly sends shivers down your spine.
It's awful.
It's a level of cruelty that's difficult to grasp.
Yes.
What could possibly drive a 12-year-old to do such a thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's one that criminologists and psychologists have grappled with for years.
Right.
Some experts believe Jasmine's actions were the result of a shared delusion,
Okay.
a phenomenon known as folie à deux,
Who you do?
where a dominant personality,
Yeah.
in this case Jeremy,
Uh-huh.
imposes their distorted reality on a more submissive individual.
Interesting.
Others point to the manipulative nature of their relationship
Yeah.
and the possibility that Jasmine was brainwashed
Yeah.
by Jeremy's twisted ideology.
So she might have truly believed she was doing the right thing,
It's possible, yeah.
however twisted that logic might seem.
Exactly, and to add to that,
Okay.
Jasmine herself provided a chilling explanation for her actions.
She did.
She later stated that it would be cruel to leave Jacob without his parents.
Oh, wow.
It's a justification that's both disturbing and nonsensical,
Right.
revealing a profound detachment from reality
Yeah.
and a complete lack of empathy for her own brother.
It's almost as if she had dehumanized her entire family,
It seems that way.
reducing them to obstacles in her path to being with Jeremy.
I think so, yeah.
And that brings us to another crucial piece of evidence.
Okay.
Their online exchanges.
Right.
Remember how we talked about vampirefreaks.com being a haven for those on the fringes of society?
Yes.
Well, in the weeks leading up to the murders,
Uh-huh.
Jasmine and Jeremy's online communication became increasingly dark and disturbing.
Oh, wow.
They shared fantasies of violence,
Right.
discussed killing Jasmine's parents, and even referred to the film Natural Born Killers,
A natural-born killer.
a movie about a couple on a murderous rampage,
Oh, jeez.
as inspiration.
Wow.
So they were openly discussing their plans online.
Yeah, it seems to...
It's chilling to think about how their digital footprint ultimately led to their capture.
It's true.
One of the most incriminating pieces of evidence
Mm-hmm.
was a message from Jasmine to Jeremy,
Yeah.
where she wrote, "I have this plan. It begins with me killing them and ends with me living with you."
Wow, that's chilling.
It's a stark declaration of intent
It is.
and reveals Jasmine's active role in plotting the murders.
It does, yeah.
That message alone blows apart any notion that she was simply a naive pawn in Jeremy's game.
Right.
She was a willing participant, a co-conspirator in this horrific plan.
Yeah, and Jeremy's online activity is equally disturbing.
It is.
He posted a poem online
Okay.
just a month before the murders
Oh, wow.
where he talks about silencing Jasmine's parents
Really?
and making their blood the payment for their perceived injustices.
Oh, geez.
It's like a window into his disturbed mind.
Right.
And the twisted rationale he used to justify his actions.
It's as if they were creating their own twisted narrative, feeding off each other's dark fantasies,
Right.
and ultimately losing touch with any sense of morality.
That's precisely what makes this case so fascinating and disturbing.
Yeah.
It raises questions about the influence of online communities,
Mm-hmm.
the power of shared delusions,
Right.
and the potential for even seemingly normal individuals to be drawn into a vortex of violence.
So, after the murders, they fled the scene.
They did, yeah.
But their escape was short-lived.
Right.
They were apprehended by police about 100 miles away.
Yeah.
And their initial attempts to blame each other
Mm-hmm.
quickly unraveled in the face of the overwhelming evidence against them.
Right.
So their capture marked the beginning of a long and complex legal process.
It did.
And because of Jasmine's age,
Right.
her case became a flashpoint for debate
Uh-huh.
about the Canadian justice system's approach to young offenders.
Yeah.
She was ultimately tried as an adult,
She was.
which at the time was highly unusual for someone so young.
Right. So how did the legal proceedings play out?
Well, despite being tried as an adult,
Yeah.
Jasmine's age at the time of the murders was a mitigating factor in her sentencing.
Right.
Canadian law capped the maximum sentence she could receive at 10 years,
10 years.
which to some seemed like a shockingly lenient punishment for such a horrific crime.
I can imagine.
And what about Jeremy?
Yeah.
Did his mental state play a role in his trial?
It did, yeah. Jeremy was diagnosed with schizophrenia,
Mm,
and this diagnosis was taken into account during his trial.
right.
He was ultimately found guilty
Okay.
and sentenced to 3 concurrent life sentences with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
So Jasmine served her 10-year sentence
She did.
and was released back into society.
Right.
What's known about her life after prison?
Well, that's another layer of complexity in this case.
That is.
While in custody,
Okay.
Jasmine was often portrayed as a model inmate,
A model inmate.
actively participating in therapy and educational programs.
Wow.
But despite this outward appearance of rehabilitation, she never publicly apologized for her crimes.
So even after serving her time,
Yeah,
there's a lingering question about whether she's truly remorseful
right.
or simply learned to play the system.
Exactly. And her release in 2016 was met with mixed reactions.
It was.
Some experts expressed cautious optimism
Okay.
about her reintegration into society,
Mm.
while others, especially those who had worked on the case,
Right.
remained skeptical about her transformation.
It's a difficult situation.
Yes.
On the one hand, we want to believe in the possibility of rehabilitation,
Yeah.
especially for someone so young.
Right.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
the gravity of her crimes
Mm-hmm.
and the lack of public remorse
Right.
make it hard to shake the feeling that justice wasn't fully served.
I understand.
And to add to the unease,
Yeah.
there were rumors circulating
Okay.
about Jasmine's behavior while incarcerated,
Really?
suggesting she may have boasted about the murders
Mm-hmm.
to other inmates.
Jeez.
Whether these rumors are true or simply prison gossip is unclear,
Right.
but they contribute to the lingering sense of unease surrounding her case.
They do. Yeah.
It's a reminder that even after serving their sentences,
Right.
individuals who commit such heinous acts
Yeah.
often carry the weight of their actions for the rest of their lives.
It's true.
And in Jasmine's case,
Mm-hmm.
the shadow of her past is likely to follow her wherever she goes.
I think so.
And what of the lasting impact on the community of medicine had?
Yeah.
This wasn't just a crime that happened in isolation.
No.
It sent shockwaves through the entire town.
Right.
People were left grappling with a profound sense of loss,
Yeah.
fear,
Mm-hmm.
and the realization that the monsters we fear aren't always strangers lurking in the shadows.
Right.
Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight
Yeah.
within the very fabric of our community.
That's a scary thought.
The Richardson family murders serve as a stark reminder
Yeah.
that evil can wear many faces, and even those we believe we know can harbor darkness within them.
It's true.
Yeah, it really is. And while Jasmine was eventually released,
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy remains incarcerated,
Right.
serving his life sentence.
Yeah.
He's a reminder that actions have consequences,
Right.
but he also raises questions
Yeah.
about the nature of evil and whether someone with a severe mental illness
Right.
can truly be held accountable for their actions
Yeah.
in the same way as someone who is deemed mentally sound.
That's a question that philosophers and legal scholars have been debating for centuries.
It is.
Where do we draw the line
Right.
between personal responsibility
Yeah.
and diminished capacity?
Right.
In Jeremy's case,
Yeah.
the court acknowledged his mental illness, but ultimately determined that he was still capable of understanding the nature and consequences of his actions.
It's a complicated issue with no easy answers.
It really is.
And while Jasmine and Jeremy's stories have, in a sense, reached a conclusion, at least within the legal system,
Right.
there's another person whose life was irrevocably altered by this tragedy.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine's older sister, Jennifer. Jennifer's story is often overlooked in this case.
It is.
But it's a crucial reminder of the ripple effects of violence.
Right.
She lost her entire family, her parents, her younger brother,
Yeah.
and in a way her sister too.
It's true.
The emotional toll on her must be immeasurable.
Yeah, you can't even, I mean, it's just,
It's unimaginable.
it's difficult to even comprehend the depth of her loss and the trauma she's endured.
Right.
And to make matters worse, she's chosen to remain silent.
Oh, wow.
Understandably wanting to avoid the media frenzy
Yeah.
and public scrutiny surrounding this case.
I would too.
Her silence is a powerful statement in itself.
It is.
It speaks volumes about the profound pain
Yeah.
and the long road to healing that lies ahead
Yeah.
for those left behind.
In the wake of such a tragedy.
That's right.
And it's a reminder that while we often focus on the perpetrators of crime,
Yeah,
the victims and their families deserve our attention and support
absolutely.
as they navigate the long and difficult journey of recovery.
They do, yeah.
Absolutely. Their pain doesn't end when the trial is over
No.
or the sentences are handed down.
Right.
They're left to pick up the pieces, to grieve, to rebuild their lives in the shadow of an unimaginable loss.
It's true.
And that brings us back to the questions we've been grappling with throughout this deep dive.
Okay.
Can someone like Jasmine,
Right.
who committed such horrific acts at such a young age,
Yeah.
truly be rehabilitated? Is genuine remorse even possible in a case like this?
Right.
And if so, how does it manifest? These are questions that continue to haunt us
They do.
long after the headlines fade and the courtrooms are empty.
Those are questions that challenge our understanding of human nature,
They do.
the limits of forgiveness.
Yeah. And the potential for redemption.
Right.
There are no easy answers.
Right.
And each of us has to grapple with them in our own way.
Yeah.
But one thing is clear.
Okay.
This case serves as a stark reminder that the line between good and evil is often blurrier than we'd like to believe.
It is.
And that even those who seem ordinary can be capable of extraordinary darkness.
This deep dive into the Richardson family murders has taken us through a labyrinth of emotions, shock, horror, disbelief,
Right.
and ultimately a profound sense of sadness. It's a story that forces us to confront the dark side of human nature and the complexities of justice, forgiveness, and the possibility of redemption.
It's true.
And while we may never have definitive answers to the questions this case raises,
Right.
it's through thoughtful exploration and open discussion that we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
And perhaps that's the most important takeaway from this deep dive.
The recognition that even in the face of the most horrific acts, there's always more to learn, more to understand.
Right.
And by engaging with these difficult questions, we can contribute to a more informed and compassionate society.
Yeah.
One that's better equipped to prevent such tragedies from happening again.
Well said.